Hey guys, welcome to OTGW. It's Mike.
It's Dan.
It's Yi.
It's Felicia.
It's nice to have the ladies back. Anyway, today's topic is something that a lot of us experienced: Asian discipline.
Yes.
Discipline by Asian parents.
Yes.
Or even very strict parents.
Especially for, I think, me and Mike's generation, where we're a little older than you guys, like,
So old.
to me, like, our parents definitely exhibited a lot of this, the stereotype of, like, the tiger mom. Eagle dad,
Yes.
yeah. You get a pretty tough combination of, like, basically parents with Asian disciplinary styles that is really different from the West.
In the West, I think a lot of parents, they want to give their kids, they want their kids to develop and have their own identity.
Right.
So they want them to, grow up, be a ballerina, be the president, be an astronaut, but be yourself. That's one of the things, right? Be yourself, grow up and have your own life and just be happy.
Independence.
Yeah, that's kind of like the whole, that's what it's kind of like in a nutshell for in the West. But in the East, it's more like, we need to mold you into what we feel like you should be.
That is true, and they do mean well. They think that, because like my parents definitely feel like this. They feel like I'm too young to know what's good for me.
Right.
Like even I'm 21, and people don't think that I know what I want in life. And they're like, right now you think that you want this and this is what's gonna make you happy. But when you're 30, trust me, that's not what's gonna, that's not what you're gonna want. And you're gonna regret that you didn't take the steps that I laid out for you to have achieved that. And so it's like, part of me is, because they say that, part of me actually believes them. I'm like, what if I am not, like, it scares me into doing what they want me to do. Because I'm like, what if I'm unhappy when I'm 30? But but I still want to do this because my heart is in here, So there's that contrast there.
I think a lot of the time it's like based off their experiences. So like I wanted to do graphic design, architecture, but it's like, it's going to be really hard to get a job. You're not going to find a job. So I was like, okay, business. Like all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to like be able to live later on. And it's like the scare tactic. Western parents, they'll let their kids go out and make their own mistakes.
Right.
Whereas Asian, it's like, no, I've done this. I know it's wrong. So like, you can't do that.
Right.
And they like shield them, and you don't get to like, make your own mistakes type of thing.
That's true. And that's the only way you're going to actually grow.
Yeah.
Because you can't really grow from somebody telling you not to do something.
Yeah.
The only way you're actually going to learn is to have made that mistake, suffer the consequences, and then you learn. But I also get why they would do that, because they're like, they know what it's like to suffer, so they don't want you to suffer, so they shield you.
Right.
I
mean, the foundation of it all from, the Asian parents' perspective is they're trying to do what's good for you in their views. They're trying to be, loving in their own way,
right.
Which sometimes comes off a little harsh.
Right.
And a lot of times Asian parents, it's not just about the physical discipline, right?
Right.
So a lot of times it's about mental discipline.
So yeah, like Mike's talking about basically the mental aspect of it. And a lot of times the parents use language in the form of like heavy scolding or I guess like cursing. It's not like cursing in English, but like ma. It's like basically like heavy scolding, like reprimanding you with words, and that does a lot of damage over time, but I think that's one of the major differences between East and West, because I certainly got a lot of that when I was little. I think it starts out with like, let's say you're not studying as much as they want you to, which is already way more than any other kids do, but then like it trickles down into like what you eat, how you dress, who you hang out with, so there's this whole trickle down effect, so it eventually just feels like everything I did was wrong. I think this is true. I was reading that like one of the major ways that Chinese parents show affection is by this tactic of discipline. They actually think I'm being affectionate towards you by not showing you affection.
It's
There's
like
actually
tough love.
Yes, it's
tough love. Yeah. One of the misconceptions is for me, like when we talk about Asian parents sacrifice, like it's almost like people are saying, oh, it's okay that sometimes they overly discipline you or make you traumatized from their words because look, they're showing sacrifice. So I have a problem with that, because I do thank my parents for their sacrifice, moving to a new country, trying to, make a better life for us. But that's kind of like saying Western parents don't sacrifice, therefore they have to show more love. But that's not the case. It's just that they show it in different ways because they've already been established here. They have a home here, they have family here.
Another big difference is in the West, the parents really, I feel, try to be your buddy.
Yeah,
like your friend.
definitely.
You're like, you know, like a lot of my friends are like, my dad's my best friend, my mom's my best friend.
Right. Like taking your kid to a ball game, it doesn't have to be a ball game, it could be anything, is literally like the time that the parents are like, I need to bond with my child. So they recognize that there is a time where you need to bond with them. But in the East, my parents, like, there's no such thing as bonding. No bonding. Like, family vacations, we all know that's not bonding. Like, they never taken me out alone on a walk, on something, just to kind of like, hey, how's it going? Like, how's it going in school? For me, you know, my parents, it's really different. I think they were like a hybrid.
You know, this is a different philosophy. It's a whole different approach, right? If you grew up in the East, the family I grew up with is pretty typical in China. It's more, hey, you did something bad. All right, come here. Meet the broomstick. Not saying every Asian kid went through what I did, but I'm just saying a lot of people did. What about you guys? Did you guys get beat?
And I feel like you guys didn't.
I feel like I'm throwing my parents under the bus by like talking about this, but yes, I did.
You did also?
Oh, you did?
I did.
By both your parents?
Oh.
No, my mom.
Your mom beat you. Your dad didn't beat you.
How bad was the beating though?
No,
Like,
it would be like really extreme cases where she'd like be at her limit type of thing. Oh, you know those like dusting things
yeah.
with the feathers? Yeah.
Did you get beat, Yi?
No, I didn't because my parents were. They're interesting in other ways, but they didn't beat me because they said that I was a girl, so girls shouldn't get beaten or something. Some sort of philosophy like that.
Oh, so nice.
But there were other damages. I will not get into them right now.
Okay.
us, because we're all immigrants too. Don't forget, like, neither of us were born in the United States, but we grew up here. So we're a little bit older. So a lot of us do experience that kind of tiger mom factor. So anyways, before people, you know, are like, my parents never did that, like, relax. We're not talking about everybody here, okay?
I feel Asians have a more of a obligation feeling towards their parents and their kids.
Yeah.
Like, the Asian parents will always look after the kids, no matter how old the kids get.
Right.
They're always like, you know what, you're 30, but hey, still live at home until you get married.
Right.
Mom's gonna cook for you and just show up unannounced. Sometimes that's bad, but they want to take care of you. They want to offer you things.
Right.
But in the West, I feel like there's a disconnect.
Right.
There's a sense of responsibility till a certain age,
Right.
and then the parents kind of like, oh, we want you to be free all your life. Now you're free. Now get out of my house. Basically, like that's it.
Right.
And if you come over, call first. If you
Yeah.
need some money, I'm gonna lend you some money. Maybe I won't, but even if I do, you gotta pay me back. I feel like Asian kids do appreciate their parents more than Western kids. I'm just saying personally, I feel that way.
Well, yeah, but because there's a general consensus, like most people are like, well, they don't have an obligation to take care of their parents into old age, especially once they get married. That's their family now. They're not going to have their parents come live with them or, you know, take care of. It's very common for Asian kids to have their parents. Well, this is I'm only speaking from like kind of my mom's generation, some of the people in my generation, where their parents can come live with them and like just be a really big part of their lives up until they're really old. But Westerners, I really rarely see that. I mean, it's two separate families.
Yeah.
Once the kid gets married, that's their family. The parents, that's their own thing. Like, you know, that's why you call before you come. It's like because they have their own lives and you have your own lives. I can only speak for like Chinese children and Chinese parents. It's very intertwined all the way up until they're very old, like the very old age.
But that's like historical roots, you know, like
Yes.
Confucianism.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in the past, like more than one generation of people would live under one roof. I studied in China for 6 years. From the things I read, it was more about having respect between parent and child as opposed to affection. Do you know? It's just the thing. That's just kind of the culture. You have respect for your parents. They teach you how to be like an upstanding human being, and that's the relationship. The affection part, I mean, it's kind of like a bonus, I guess, if you have it, but it's rare.
Of course, like the roots of the Chinese family and their fundamental values, of course, is rooted in Confucianism, right?
And like filial piety.
Filial piety, righteousness. It's like that back in the day. We're talking about pre-communistic China, where when you talk about having no affection, it's not that Chinese parents were like, we're not going to show any affection. It's just that they were believing in Confucianism. So they had other values, right? Like devotion, showing discipline, being teaching kids how to be reserved. So the point is, what I'm saying is they had these moral values underlining their techniques. See, to me, back in the day, I'm sure they were also like, you gotta study hard, you gotta do these things, right? But they had these moral values that were driving the parents. But what happens is, after the Cultural Revolution, to me, what happened was you still use the same techniques and you learned a bunch of new ones that were bad because you went through the Cultural Revolution. And now, as we all know, this is not a secret. You can go online, you can read up all the stuff. Now, after Cultural Revolution, the whole point is you now do not have that spiritual basis anymore. So you don't have the moral values anymore. So you're only using the negative system and coupled in poverty, moving to a new country, fear. I mean, you got this cluster bomb of you know, like.
I mean, I just wanted to get into that a little bit, just like the Chinese discipline thing. Like, why do some, well, this, you know, for some Asian kids, like they feel like it's kind of painful growing up and their relationship with their parents is a little bit damaged. I think it's because, like I mentioned before, like back in ancient China, there was discipline. I'm pretty sure people still beat their kids from time to time with a stick or something else. But it was less about kind of shaming you and like making you feel really bad. Like that kind of thing really came after the Cultural Revolution. And like I know that my grandmother, she's kind of that generation, she kind of disciplined my mother like that, like shaming her and kind of like making her feel really terrible. And it was not just about physical discipline anymore. And that's kind of where the break in the relationship comes, where they kind of like, you know, feel really hurt. You know, because if you beat them, but they can genuinely feel that you did it for them, then that relationship is still repairable. It's okay. I mean, you know, but if they feel like, wow, like you really hurt my feelings, like you made me feel worthless, I think that's what's gonna damage. That's the damaging discipline, I think.
My parents never shamed me. They and after they beat me, they were like, that was for you. They did the Full House thing. They were like, I'm really sorry I had to do that.
Oh, they said sorry?
Yeah, they really, and I could tell that my mom didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do it, but she did it, and I cried.
Like it's for the better.
Yeah, so I felt like, all right, you got to do what you got to do.
Okay,
but
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
This was actually an example from when I was a kid. When I used to talk to my friends, we all got beat,
right?
And we always say this to each other. But this is like a motto we always just say to each other. We're like, because like, first of all, we used to talk about the beating we got last night, and then we always would say like, you know, because Chinese kids, we all want to show that we're mature, we know a lot. So if someone got beat, like Felicia, like, hey Mike, I got beat last time. My first thing out of my mouth would be, hey, that's for your own good. Your parents did it for your own good. So it's kind of like that. That's kind of like also, you know, when we talk about school, when we got beat by teachers, it's for your own good. Yeah. That's kind of like, it's almost an excuse.
It is.
That because it's almost a justification for getting the beating.
Right.
And it's almost brainwashing for the kids to kind of grow up just being like, it's for my own good, it's for my own good. But sometimes, you know what? It's not for your own good.
Yeah.
Because if it was for your own good, like she was saying, you can feel it. Across the board, there are other cultures, Spanish, African American, Middle Eastern, where they all get beat too.
Yeah.
It's not like Asians are the only one that gets beat.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of Hispanic friends, they got it worse than I did, but they still hug, love, kiss their parents. You know, and you see like online, there's a lot of videos shaming parents, like the way that the tactics they use, but they grow up, they still have a pretty good relationship.
All right, guys. Well, those are our perspectives about the discipline area between Western parents and Eastern parents. Where, you know, this is just our opinions. You don't have to agree. But anyway, some of you might want to show this video to your parents. So, right? I don't know. But anyway.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're not bashing either or. We just really want to open the discussion.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you later.